FSD supervised ride-hailing service is live for an early set of employees in Austin and San Francisco Bay areas. We've completed over 1.5 thousand trips and 50,000 miles of driving. This service helps us develop and validate FSD networks, the mobile app, vehicle allocation, mission control, and remote assistance operations. Whoa. Holy shit. Wait, is it called Waymo? Aren't these things available in some places already? I feel like I've seen like Reddit videos where somebody's like, oh, I did a Waymo taxi cab or something. They're everywhere? Oh. Wait, how is Waymo ahead of Tesla on this? Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, what was this? Sorry, I wasn't. There's a... It's just like easier Uber driving? There's a guy. Safety driver is present to supervise and only intervenes as necessary. FSD supervised does not make the vehicle autonomous. Wow, sick. So it's like an Uber, except it's an Uber. That's crazy. So there's going to be like Uber. Damn. Imagine that. Streamers have tried this.
So weird.
Right?
Yeah.
It should say nest. Yeah, that's it. Oh. Is your pronunciation improving again? Debatable. You know what happens when I hang out with Jane. All right, let's go.
You go first.
You first.
No shot. Wait, this is
first.
real?
Oh my god. This is so strange. I've never done this.
Yeah, this is great, right?
Are you sure this place is open?
You're totally
it's
banging these cars.
Because that shop was.
Oh, they must have a camera, I guess, huh?
Aren't Mexicans religious?
Yeah, but they also like to make money.
It's all over San Francisco. They're doing full self-driving launch in Austin in 2 months. Oh, for Tesla. Damn. Wait, what are the accident rates on these? Wait, fuck, I missed the future. We're here, and I missed it.
He's not wrong.
Exactly.
Can I press it?
Seatbelt.
Oh. They lost their
Oh,
emojis.
gotcha.
You'll get customer support on the phone.
Shut up.
Yeah. Such a fun area. I know, right? Oops. I thought I clicked.
Have there been Waymo accidents?
Why isn't my clicking?
Hello? Can we put our
Rumble.
seatbelts on? Holy shit! I would lose my mind if I was with these people.
Okay,
Sorry,
you can
that's
click
okay. Streamers.
Vehicle approaching.
Vehicle approaching.
Heading to Santee Alley Coyote.
Oh, it's waiting for like a car to
Yeah.
pivot.
Oh,
Perfect.
bruh. Wait, so have there been accidents?
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
with
cute.
everything in
Look at
life,
that. Oh my
Nothing's
god.
perfect. People make mistakes. But it's been pretty flawless compared to like, normal drivers.
Okay,
Yeah, we're going Saint
literally,
Alley.
doesn't it look like this is like my Labubu?
Yeah, it fits you.
Yeah.
50 million miles without a safety driver. They have a better safety record than human drivers. Damn.
Train to Waymo, what's next? I know, right? We're living in times. Ghost.
This is a day
No
of
driver.
firsts for me.
I know, right? Yeah, no driver, Hazy.
Jesus.
It's crazy. You're
They
welcome.
do 250,000 rides a week right now.
It's like
Shouts
kinda
out to
scary
Jane for coming through again. Everybody follow Jane if you haven't already.
Shouts out to me.
Okay, Hobo, relax. Take some time off. Hush it. This is a great day for Jane. Cool music. Oh, we could change the music too, by the way.
Oh.
Can we do it through here? Oh yeah, you can type whatever you want, I think. This is not my selection. This was
Eugene's radio?
yeah, I
We
didn't
could
pick
do that for you.
No, pick whatever you want.
No,
Here, I'll
let's,
give you
let's do
my
a good Eugene song.
Wait.
So is this just some random company bringing self-driving? Well, no, they're not a random company. The fact that you would even ask it, though, I think is it's strange that the advertising is so bad on this. I've heard of Waymo. I'm sorry, Waymo. I've heard of Waymo before, but I really don't know anything about them other than I've heard of them. Like they sound like a random company to me, but they're not. They're doing all these things. I guess. Yeah.
So how it works, it's like
Self-driving
Pandora.
cars, cabs.
So you like just give
Oh my
them.
god.
Oh, that's probably why. Just because if I've been through SF, you see like ads for Waymo and shit.
The underscore ordering sponsor
Hentai!
for 10 months.
Thank
No
you.
names.
No memes.
Oh my God! Can you imagine the gig worker revolution if you can't catch a Waymo on Uber, right? Could you imagine if they tried to make a partnership? I bet the drivers would fucking revolt.
Thank you, kind sir. Music.
What a bruise.
Manage ad stations. Here you go.
Waymo's owned by
Is that
Google.
what
What do you want?
You can in some places now?
I5.
Oh shit!
Pandora's my shit. Whatever you
There's too
want
much
to listen to.
pressure. There's too much pressure.
What were you listening to? What were you listening to on the drive here? Oh, you listening to Sia.
Oh, I love Sia.
Put Sia. Pandora was
Sia's
live.
so good live.
Yeah.
She's like one of the best live performances I've ever seen.
Live? Yeah, she kills that shit.
Holy shit.
Madonna Erotica? I don't know
So do I
Madonna
just-
like that. Yeah, you pretty much just pick like the artist and then it picks whatever.
Okay.
I hated Pandora.
Yeah,
It
please
sucks.
Pandora.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
This Waymo partnership, okay.
I guess. True. They're
Meridian.
starting. Oh yeah, they're starting to use freeways.
Wow.
The Waymos.
This is my
Yeah.
jam right here.
Yeah, it's great.
What markets is it in? LA. I know it's in San Francisco.
Arizona.
Yeah.
I think they're rolling these out in New York pretty soon. Does anybody else know in chat?
Waymo.
You suck. Thank you.
You don't suck.
Depends on the context.
Ha ha ha. Damn. You know what you see in airports that's kind of like the future, that's kind of cute, is in airports, they have self-driving wheelchairs. I see that pretty often in Miami. I'm sure other airports have them too, to where I think what happens is when if you're like a handicapped person, you get off a plane, they can sit you in like a chair and the chair automatically drives you to your gate. And it's just crazy. It's just like in this little chair with the lights on and it's just going to their gate.
They're going to Atlanta. Oh, I can see that. I can see Atlanta with this.
Yeah.
I think Sirius XM bought it.
But what?
Waymo is miles ahead of Tesla, literally and figuratively. Well, it sounds like, if what I'm reading from chat is true, it sounds like Tesla is just taking way too ambitious of a route. That Waymo is using more specific tools like LiDAR, and Tesla's like, we're just going to image process everything using super advanced AI. But are you able to read the court transcript on stream, or can you know anything about the case on stream until it's over? We read the affidavit earlier. I don't know if they actually filed criminal charges yet. I didn't see any of that. That's out. Let me get a silent. Hold on one sec. Waymo coming to Miami soon. Can you do a stream in one? Yeah, maybe. Do you have to tip them? Ooh, that's the big one. I think you should do a deep dive on Kashmir. I feel like no one cares about Kashmir. India and China are boring because lefties can't obsess over like Western imperialists because it's two other big powers fighting each other. So lefties don't care, and then America in general doesn't care about foreign policy. So why is Elon against LiDAR? It makes no sense to me. Isn't he just making it harder on themselves? Because it sounds like he just wants like a more generalized AI system. It's more ambitious if I understand what Chad is saying correctly, but it's just taking longer to develop, and who knows if it would even work well. And arguably, I don't even know if it's a better idea, but
pursuits, but tonight authorities may have encountered a robbery suspect trying to flee in a Waymo self-driving car. Police say they responded to a call that a suspect had robbed the Ralph's grocery store on La Brea Avenue and 3rd Street. Multiple cruisers followed the Waymo once the suspect got in. As soon as police activated the emergency lights on their cruiser, the Waymo pulled itself over in Arlington Heights, and that's when police were able to arrest the suspect without issue.
Look close.
Damn.
Tesla last year removed radar from the sensor suite, and now just announced that it's going to remove ultrasonic sensors, relying solely on vision, so camera only. Does that make the perception problem harder or easier?
I would almost reframe the question in some way. So the thing is basically, you would think that additional sensors...
By the way, can I just interrupt?
Go ahead.
I wonder if a language model will ever do that if you prompt it. Let me reframe your question. That would be epic. That's the wrong prompt. Sorry.
So it's like a little bit of a wrong question, because basically you would think that these sensors are an asset to you.
Yeah.
But if you fully consider the entire product in its entirety, these sensors are actually potentially a liability, because these sensors aren't free. They don't just appear on your car. Suddenly you need to have an entire supply chain. You have people procuring it. There can be problems with them. They may need replacement. They are part of the manufacturing process. They can hold back the line in production. You need to source them. You need to maintain them. You have to have teams that write the firmware, all of it. And then you also have to incorporate them, fuse them into the system in some way. And so it actually like bloats a lot of it. And I think Elon is really good at simplify. Best part is no part. And he always tries to throw away things that are not essential because he understands the entropy in organizations and an approach. And I think in this case, the cost is high, and you're not potentially seeing it if you're just a computer vision engineer. And I'm just trying to improve my network, and is it more useful or less useful? How useful is it? And the thing is, once you consider the full cost of a sensor, it actually is potentially a liability, and you need to be really sure that it's giving you extremely useful information. In this case, we looked at using it or not using it, and the delta was not massive, and so it's not useful.
Is it also bloat in the data engine, like having more sensors?
100%.
Is a distraction?
And these sensors, they can change over time. For example, you can have one type of, say, radar, you can have other type of radar, they change over time. Now suddenly you need to worry about it. Now suddenly you have a column in your SQLite telling you, oh, which sensor type was it? And they all have different distributions, and then they contribute noise and entropy into everything, and they bloat stuff. And also organizationally, it's been really fascinating to me that it can be very distracting. If all you want to get to work is vision, all the resources are on it, and you're building out a data engine, and you're actually making forward progress because that is the sensor with the most bandwidth, the most constraints in the world, and you're investing fully into that, and you can make that extremely good. If you have only a finite amount of sort of spend of focus across different facets of the system.
And
why aren't you covering the judge arrest? Just curious. I already did. I went over it this morning. I think the judge arrest, the one that I saw, it was probably fair. We'll see how it turns out.
This kind of reminds me of Rich Sutton's A Bitter Lesson. It just seems like simplifying the system.
Yeah.
In the long run. Now, of course, you don't know what the long run is, and it seems to be always the right solution.
Yeah. Yes.
In that case, it was for RL, but it seems to apply generally across all systems that do computation.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the LiDAR as a crutch debate? The battle between point clouds and pixels?
Yeah, I think this debate is always like slightly confusing to me because it seems like the actual debate should be about like, do you have the fleet or not? That's like the really important thing about whether you can achieve a really good functioning of an AI system at this scale.
So data collection systems.
Yeah, do you have a fleet or not is significantly more important whether you have LiDAR or not. It's just another sensor. Yeah, I think similar to the radar discussion, basically, I don't think it basically doesn't offer extra information. It's extremely costly. It has all kinds of problems. You have to worry about it. You have to calibrate it, etc. It creates bloat and entropy. You have to be really sure that you need this sensor. In this case, I basically don't think you need it. And I think, honestly, I will make a stronger statement. I think the others, some of the other companies that are using it are probably going to drop it.
Yeah, so you have to consider the sensor in considering, can you build a big fleet that collects a lot of data? And can you integrate that sensor with that data and that sensor into a data engine that's able to quickly find different parts of the data that then continuously improves whatever the model that you're using? Yeah,
another way to look at it is like vision is necessary in the sense that the world is designed for human visual consumption, so you need vision. It's necessary. And then also it is sufficient because it has all the information that you need for driving, and humans obviously use vision to drive. So it's both necessary and sufficient. So you want to focus resources, and you have to be really sure if you're going to bring in other sensors. You could add sensors to infinity. At some point you need to draw the line. And I think in this case you have to really consider the full cost of any one sensor that you're adopting, and do you really need it? And I think the answer in this case is no.
So what do you think about the idea that the other companies...
What is the cost of LiDAR compared to a camera of sufficient resolution to be effective at driving cars? don't know why I just asked chat that. That was apparently a dumb question. Okay, the answer is apparently much higher. But that's not what he's talking about. It's the compound cost of integrating it into your ingestion and training stack. Yeah, that sounded like bullshit to me. But this guy knows way more than I do, so I don't know. I don't know. I might be retarded. He's more qualified to talk about it than I am.
Are forming high-resolution maps and constraining heavily the geographic regions in which they operate. Is that approach not, in your view, not going to scale over time to the entirety of the United States?
I think,
it'll take too
as
long.
you mentioned, like they pre-map all the environments and they need to refresh the map, and they have a perfect centimeter level accuracy map of everywhere they're going to drive. It's crazy. How are all the environments?
Not going to scale over time to the entirety of the United States.
I think,
it'll take too
as
long.
you mentioned, like they pre-map all the environments and they need to refresh the map, and they have a perfect centimeter level accuracy map of everywhere they're going to drive. It's crazy. How are you going to, when we're talking about autonomy actually changing the world, we're talking about deployment on a global scale of autonomous systems for transportation. And if you need to maintain a centimeter accurate map for Earth, or like for many cities and keep them updated, it's a huge dependency that you're taking on, huge dependency. It's a massive, massive dependency. And now you need to ask yourself, do you really need it? And humans don't need it, right? So it's very useful to have a low-level map of like, okay, the connectivity of your road. You know that there's a fork coming up. When you drive an environment, you sort of have that high-level understanding. It's like a small Google map. And Tesla uses Google Map, like similar kind of resolution information in the system, but it will not pre-map environments to semi-level accuracy. It's a crutch, it's a distraction, it costs entropy, and it diffuses the team, it dilutes the team, and you're not focusing on what's actually necessary, which is the computer vision problem.
Okay.
Optimus.
Is he one of the talking robots, apparently?
And it's even talking.
Say hi to my friend John. John? Where's John?
Right here.
Oh, hello, John.
How are you?
Very good.
That's crazy. I'm talking to a robot. From San Jose. Probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
Wonderful. Where do you live in San Jose? Do you live in Almond Valley, or do you live in the Santa Teresa area?
No, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Very nice area.
Where do you live?
Beautiful hiking I hear out there.
There is. Where do you live?
I live in Palo Alto at the current moment.
Figures. Yeah, this is awesome.
That's where they train us, that's where we get our builds, and that's where we work with a wonderful group of people.
What's the hardest thing about being a robot?
Trying to learn how to be as human as you guys are.
LiDAR data would be a different type of data they would need to train in addition to other data modalities. So it would need training from scratch, and once the model is active and pre-trained, it would still cost to put the LiDAR sensors on the car. Yeah, sure, but that seems like a silly argument, or not necessarily a silly argument. This almost sounds like it almost sounds like a services argument, right? Like, why would we have 15 different services for our I don't know if you would say for our stack. Why would we utilize 15 different services for our company when we could just create one Omni service that does literally everything? Why do I need a separate service to pull people's birthdays or IDs, or why do I need a separate service to pull people's purchase history? What if we just made an Omni service that had all of it? Because now we don't have to filter data from so many different services. Like, well, there's a reason why it's nice sometimes to have more specific. I imagine data coming in from a LiDAR thing doesn't require the same, as expansive as an analysis as data coming in from a camera, just like visual data in the human field of vision. So you do have to train specifically for it, but I imagine it's a more specific type of data that probably comes with its own pros and cons as well. Like LiDAR can probably see some things that human vision can't see, and it could probably omit a bunch of things that human vision doesn't omit, I would imagine, but who knows? Who knows?
Be rooting for.
I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything about different camera types, so that guy probably knows way more than I do, especially if he works for Tesla. So
I never thought that I would see a day where I would be rooting for a university above Donald J. Trump and his administration. But I don't recognize his administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening. I have a theory. I do. We were kicking around some theories earlier, me and the team, and we were going, how could Trump be such a free speech enthusiast and allowing these things to happen? Going after college universities, trying to suppress speech, while pretending that you're not suppressing speech, while pretending that you're fighting DEI. It's so messy. It's so obvious. Everyone knows what you're doing. People who are still trying to grift, I suppose, are not willing to challenge you on this, which is ridiculous, because when you are out of office, we are going to have to live with these consequences. Our children are going to have to grow up in this America, okay? So when you threaten our speech, it's not worth it so that we can have pom-poms and go hurrah for a couple of years, then go, okay, well, yeah, now it kind of stinks because, oh, we're getting arrested for wrongthink. We got David Friedman. Yeah, arrest him. Arrest Tucker Carlson and Candace.
Nobody cares about any of the principles around any of these stupid fucking college kids, and I hate it. I hate all of you, and I hate everybody that cares about this stupid college issue. She just doesn't like this because she fucking hates Israel, so she's going to support pro-Palestinian protesters, so she's against people being locked up for protesting against Israel on college campuses. That's literally all this boils down to. It's fucking retarded. Oh, we have 7 minutes left on these guys.
The tariffs on Chinese goods will come down substantially, but won't be zero. Then why the fuck did you go to 145%? Yep. Mm-hmm. This guy he is competing against people who are willing to starve millions of their own people, and he thinks he's going to intimidate them with 145. But they're going to come down. They're going to do, we're about to enter the stage where they try to figure out a way to basically somehow put lipstick on a pig here and call victory and stop all this nonsense. The tariffs are going to be remarkably similar to what they were before all of this nonsense, but you're going to have all these people trying to spin how it's some sort of great victory.
Deals? They're coming to me for deals. They're trying to kiss my ass, that whole thing. Oh, stop, you sad, pathetic.
All we have done here is massively erode brand America. It's gone from freedom, generosity, military might, prosperity, risk aggressiveness, opportunity, rule of law, to toxic uncertainty. And that brand does not command margins. It commands negative
So what does he do?
margins.
Okay, look, first of all, Bessent's trying to affect him, obviously, and he seems to have gained a bit of an upper hand against the clown show of Howard, whatever his name is, and Elon. And there was an altercation, a very loud altercation between Bessent and Musk over IRS head, which the Treasury Secretary should pick, FYI, not Elon Musk. He was trying to pick a sycophant to take over the IRS, where our money comes from. What would you do if you were Bessent right now? Like, what besides leave, like immediately? What would you do?
Well, he's kind of already done it. He clearly leaked that interaction, and he's saying, I'm on top and I've had it with this guy.
Yeah.
Trump is scared. He's seen as, Bessent is seen as like a sycophant, but is potentially the guy in the Oval Office that will take stuff off his desk so he doesn't even see it, that he is sort of an adult in the room. He has a reputation versus Lutnick that's just considered a clown that is now engaged in full-scale corruption with his son starting a crypto company. Jesus Christ.
I know the crypto stuff.
Just when you thought this couldn't get any more corrupt. Bessent is seen as a very credible guy, and behind the scenes is basically saying, okay, I'm going to do my best here. I know this is fucking batshit crazy. We know where this goes. Blink, blink, blink. Try and run Vaseline over the lens of incompetence here and pretend this is a victory.
I never made this mistake, and I'm not.
The tariffs are going to look remarkably similar to where they were before. Mm-hmm. And all that's happened is we've eroded our image around the world to the detriment of.
So what would you do? You're sitting in the Oval Office. He has you in. You for some reason go, and he's listening to you. What would you say to Trump to do right now? Besides,
if he would listen to me,
stop taking.
Just kidding. Video games.
I would immediately. I would pretend to have discussions, declare victory and leave. Just like literally find a country that's willing to do something for you. Come up with a bunch of fake reasons for why this was. Anything but what it was, which was insanely damaging, and literally get back to the economy and try and repair as many of our alliances as possible, and go on the mother of all behind-the-scenes apology tours, because this is going to start showing up in earnings calls. I think China might say, "Oh, you want to go back to where we were? Fuck you. You've been out banging hookers and doing blow and ignoring our children. Now you've decided you want to be married again? Sorry, boss. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'll be at my sister's."
That's a nice metaphor, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyways, speaking for a friend.
I don't know. I think the Chinese and the Europeans are now like, what a life without these obnoxious Americans.
100%.
Like, hey, I think a divorce sounds great. Yeah. Like, I'm sure that's what they're thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Ooh,
like,
my tennis bro was texting me.
Wait a minute, just a minute here.
My friends are going to St. Bart's. That sounds pretty good.
He needs to. Oh, what an idiot! What a fucking idiot. The thing is, if he did a couple of things, all his stupid followers would like clap like the.
Yeah, they'll pretend that it was genius and 40 chess. So move to that part of the program as soon as possible.
Right.
You literally have to put the fire out here. You have to put the fire out. But I don't know if he's. But think about the negotiation strategy.
He's been listening to Wall Street. Wall Street is the one that speaks with
the adult in the room is the tenure. We've been saying that.
Yeah.
I'm glad Bessent is there, but I do think the raft of them. I think we're on the cusp of a few of them being fired.
Yeah, Lutnick should go. What a thirsty.
Well, not even he is. Most of them should go, but I think he's going to try and blame a lot of this on incompetence and saying, I got some bad information. These folks did the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. I moved them out. He's going to throw a bunch of them as a into the volcano, if you will.
Right. Yeah. But they're certainly not going to tax the rich.
Look, a step back from the wrong direction is a step in the right direction. So if you were really advising the guy, you'd say as elegantly, as gracefully, and as respectfully as possible, you need to stop this shit really, really quickly. And behind the scenes, call Prime Minister Carney and say, congratulations. And by the way, You're a fantastic friend. A lot of this was posturing. I want to apologize to you personally. What can we do that makes this better for both of us?
All he needs is affirmation. It's so sad. It's such a sad state at this age in his life that this is all he needs. But here we are. Anyway, Scott, one more quick break. We'll be back for predictions. Okay, Scott, let's hear our predictions. You've kind of let loose a few during the show here, but some good ones.
This is always dangerous, but I'm going to do it anyways. Alphabet's reporting. We're talking about Thursday. Alphabet's reporting at the end of the day, and I think rumors of Alphabet's struggles have been greatly exaggerated. I still think while ChatGPT is ascending dramatically and does present an existential threat to search, YouTube is just an absolute juggernaut. And you talk about Waymo. I just think this company is so well run, and Google continues to be the largest toll booth in the history of mankind. I think that they're going to beat, and I think they're going to beat expectations this afternoon, because I think some of those expectations have been beaten down. And then another one. I think in the next 12 to 24 months, we're going to see a spin prophylactically in big tech for the first time. And then
pick one. I'm going to pick. We'll each pick one. I say YouTube. Well, maybe the advertising.
I think it's the ad business.
Just, okay, wait. When they say a spin, they mean that, a large company is going to have to divest a smaller company and then it's going to spin off into its own thing? Is that what that means? That's what they're referring to?
That's right.
I'm sorry, ad business for Alphabet.
We would like YouTube, but it's probably the ad business.
And then the most interesting one, and this is, I'm putting words in your mouth or taking your words, and I will credit you. Tesla right now has, I think it's like a $750 billion market cap, right? And when you think about, when you're doing acquisitions or mergers, you want to do them when your stock, it's $806 billion. You want to do mergers when you have a really strong valuation, because you end up, Steve Case sold AOL when he knew there was no way it was going to be worth a fraction of that in a matter of months or years. Yeah. So that's when you sell your company. The problem is no one will buy Tesla for $805 billion except XAI, right? Or SpaceX.
Yeah.
And so your idea is so interesting, because what he could try to do is say, okay, jazz hands will only last so long. At some point, people start, saying, okay, enough is enough here, folks. That $800 billion market cap is going to come way down. So the idea of taking a large revenue base, which you get from an automobile company, putting on top of it the impression and the valuation of AI with the data set of X, and also maybe some of the gross and Riz and unbelievable coolness of SpaceX, that would be a lot. Maybe it keeps that independent. But I think your idea is really insightful, that the way to maintain that ridiculous $800 billion valuation is to cash it in now, and he'll maintain a huge stake and potentially do kind of one that's going to 0.5 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4 or 5. I think you're right. I think there's going to be, I think Tesla is going to be folded in to
and
another,
then they're an AI company,
merged.
or an AI company. That
Yeah, I love that.
Self-driving.
Because when you said it, the moment you said it, I thought, that would be really fucking smart from a shareholder perspective.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've watched the recent Mark Robert video where he shows Tesla's self-driver versus a car with LiDAR. The widely coded test is more important than it may seem. It's why optical-based driving units drive full speed into white trucks, because they look like the sky and shit. Yeah, I think the issue is that it's something I've said before, that I think people don't intuitively understand that you perceive a dimension less than the world that you're actually in. People talk about how, oh no, you have two eyes, so that's where depth perception comes from. Bullshit. That accounts for like 0.001% of your depth perception. Depth perception is processed in the brain. It's a 100% processing problem. If you close one eye, it's not like you all of a sudden don't understand how far away a building is, or how far away your monitor is, or how far away a person across the room from you is. This is a brain processing problem. So the image is that when you take a picture of something, it's just two dimensions. You always perceive a dimension less than what you're in. And for a camera to just take in a visual piece of information like that, it has to be able to process like, okay, well, how far do I think a thing is? And there's so many different, like, I imagine, programming things, problems, challenges that you have to deal with in order to do those calculations. It's probably incredibly complicated. That's like probably the most sophisticated problem I imagine that Tesla is facing or trying to solve with the camera shit, would be my guess.
Makes sense. It's also like him. It's very like him. He's hiding
very
things.
Very bold. And he has control of his board.
Right, yeah.
He doesn't care. He'll tell the board this is what we're doing. Yeah. He's not scared of shareholder lawsuits.
Well, I wonder if he'll take it private then. There's not a lot of revenue in any of these things,
Can't take
right?
it private. No one will fund it.
Yeah,
no
that's
one
right.
will
There's not a lot of revenue. Well, I don't think the Starlink part, the SpaceX is part of it. They don't, my guess, they don't make that much money. They probably, and they've been hurt themselves, but I think they're very expensive to run that thing. And
was a Wisconsin judge arrested on legitimate grounds, or is it made up charges? I think it was probably legitimate, but we'll see.
I'd love to actually see the numbers from that. If someone wants to send them to me, I'd love to see them. I don't think they're wildly profitable by any stretch of the imagination, but
Yeah, and finally, Kara, the prediction, the geopolitical prediction. So Donald Trump is having a huge impact globally, including what leaders are elected or not elected, but it wasn't the impact he thought he was going to have in the Canadian elections for Prime Minister. My prediction is that Mark Carney of the Liberal Party is going to prevail, and that is after overcoming a 25-point deficit coming into the year. And why is the Liberal Party going to prevail here? Donald Trump. He has so pissed off Canada, and the Conservative Party nominee for Prime Minister is aligned with Trump and considered a more Trumpian candidate. And boy, has Canada turned off Trump. So in sum, Trump has elected, in my opinion, or will elect, Prime Minister Mark Carney of the Liberal Party, and has swung the Canadian elections 25 points. because of how repellent they find Donald Trump, and the Conservative Party has been contaminated by Trump. So he is getting world leaders elected, just not the world leaders that everyone had anticipated, or certainly not the ones he had hoped for. In sum, I think the underdog here, Mark Carney, is about to be the next Prime Minister of Canada solely because of the unpopularity of our American president. Do you have a prediction?
I don't. I predict I'm going to go to White House correspondent dinner parties this weekend.
Oh, I was going to go, but I'm not in town.
Why not?
I got asked by a friend of yours to be their date, and I was really excited. She's totally cool. I won't say who it is, but
a friend of mine asked you.
Well, a friend of ours.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. You should have. Oh, I know who it is. You should have come.
Emily Ratajkowski. Just saying.
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's every single media company. Like Axios is having something. Substack.
It looks like so much fun.
Substack's
You've been, right?
The parties are fun. I hate to say it. Parties are fun. I don't go to the event itself ever, but there's like NBC's having a party after the French embassy.
Ooh, the NBC party.
No, it's fun. It's fun. I'm telling you, I love that French embassy. It's so ridiculous. It's so like end times kind of partying kind of stuff.
I was wrong. I don't want to go. You have literally said nothing that sounds remotely fun.
Let me think. UTA has a really cool party. It's really fun.
Oh, I had that. You just take erythromycin. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. UTA?
No, they're fun. They're fun. They're fun parties. They are indeed fun parties. And my friend Tammy Haddad has the famous White House Correspondents' Dinner brunch.
I'm convinced Tammy's running the CIA.
She's running the CIA.
She's so quiet, and then she'll pop up and be like, the president of Gabon wants to meet with you to talk about a shipping lane deal. And I'm like, what the fuck? Who is this woman?
She's great. She has a famous brunch that's really fun. That's really fun, actually.
Where did she get all her power?
She's everywhere. She's everywhere. She's
I couldn't get my visa done. I couldn't get my passport. It's like, give me 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, like the ambassador to Britain is calling me and sending me a card with my passport. It's like, who is this woman?
Tammy Haddad is the queen of White House Correspondents' Weekend. She is.
She's Michael Clayton. She's a total fixer. Seriously.
She's also lovely. May I say she brings the best toys
and
for
went to
children.
Pitt.
She did. She's from Pittsburgh. She was in Pittsburgh this weekend. She's the best. We love that Tammy Haddad. Anyway, we want to. So I wish you were here. We'd have a good time.
I met Tammy Haddad before I met you. We were doing a conference together. I don't think I'd ever met you. Or I met you for a podcast, but we went to, I think it was South by Southwest, but I showed up and this woman came up to me and she was so nice and so in my face. I'm like, who is this very friendly woman? And I said, and I saw, it was so adorable. In the back, it was in the makeup room. There was this little adorable boy.
I'm in my Tesla on autopilot.
I'm going to the pregame with Kara. And they go, where is she? And she goes, and then they pointed to the little boy. You were sleeping on the couch. You look like a 9-year-old boy. It was so loud. I'm like, she can sleep here? That was one of my first images of you, where you were just on a couch sleeping with hundreds of people around you.
I love to sleep.
Like
I'm such a good sleeper.
You're like Winston Churchill.
I can sleep anywhere. It's so true. Anyway, Tammy, that's great. And she's very tall and she's got this great shock of white hair. She's fantastic. She's a fantastic lady. Anyway, Tammy, good luck this weekend. I will see you at the party. We want to hear from you. Send us your questions about business tech or whatever's on your mind. Go to nymag.com/pivot to submit a question for the show, or call 855-51-PIVOT. Elsewhere in the Scott and Kara universe this week on Prof G Markets, Scott, who's on a tear, spoke with Ryan Peterson, the founder and CEO of Flexport, who he replaced someone that he brought in from Amazon. It's a leader in global supply chain management, about the impact of tariffs. What a great person to tap. Let's listen.
If they don't change anything and this 145% duty sticks on China, it'll take out like mass bankruptcies. You're talking like 80% of small business that buys from China will just die. And millions of employees will be unemployed. I mean, it's sort of why I'm like, they obviously have to back off the trade. Like, that can't be that they just do that. I don't believe that they're that crazy.
That's a great idea to do an interview there, Scott. That's great. Really interesting.
I love supply chain stuff. I invested, one of my best investments of the last few years was I invested in a company called 0100, which was supply chain research. I think if you look at
dull investments. That's where you make your big bucks, isn't it? Dullish.
Quick lesson. When you're thinking about how to allocate and invest your most precious assets, your financial capital, and even more precious, your human capital, it's very easy. ROI on the X side of the scale, sex appeal on the X-axis. It essentially, the sexier the business, the lower the ROI. If someone wants you to invest in a members club downtown for artists and creatives, join the club. Do not invest. If someone wants you to invest in software as a service for scheduling healthcare maintenance workers, if it sounds so fucking awful you wouldn't want to work there, that's where you write a check.
Okay.
Because anything that's sexy is overinvested, which drives down returns. The less sexy, the more return on your invested capital. Also think about that in terms of your career. If you're going for something sexy, you better get bright green lights that you're in the top 1%. Otherwise, find something boring. And this is what creates passion, mastery, artisanship, and be able to take care of your kids and your parents.
I love that, Scott. So don't invest in Scott Galloway because he's dead sexy.
Hello, ladies.
Okay, that's the show. Thanks for listening to Pivot, and be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back next week. Scott, read us out.
Today's show was produced by Lara Naaman, Zoe Marcus, and Taylor Griffin. Ernie Intertot engineered this episode. Jim Mackle edited the video. Thanks.
Okay, somebody really wants me to watch this video. We watched part of this before, but
40 miles an hour towards a fake Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner painted wall. Please stop. Please stop. Holy. And I'm doing this to see if Tesla's autopilot can be tricked, because it famously only relies on simple cameras to navigate the world, as opposed to much more expensive tech. In fact, we're out here today to run a bunch of tests in extreme conditions to see how those simple
I think
cameras
we've seen this. I feel like we watched either most of it or all of it before, but somebody's mad now that
Tesla stack up against other fancy cars that use more advanced technology. Wow! And the story of how I ended up as a crash test dummy in my own car started 6 months back at Disneyland as I was sneaking onto the famously pitch black ride called Space Mountain. And while I might look a little plus sized in that jacket, as you can see from this infrared camera shot, that's no ordinary jacket because it's hiding some of that fancy car technology. Yeah, baby! Yeah! 40 43 million people ride Space Mountain every year, but unlike a famous ride like Colossus, Space Mountain is in near total darkness, meaning no one knows what the ride actually looks like, which as far as I'm concerned, needed to be fixed with a special undercover operation. True story, I have been wanting to make this video for over 20 years, way before I had a YouTube channel. So I would come to Disneyland and just be like, someday the technology will be there so we could map out what Space Mountain actually looks like. So this is a very big moment for me.
Wow.
That's common knowledge. Every good undercover operation worth its salt needs a 3-step plan. For me, step 1 would just be getting into Disneyland with my tech through their famously tight security. If I managed to do that, step 2 would be making it through the park, avoiding any security guards on my way to Space Mountain. And finally, for step 3, I would need to sneak onto the ride itself while avoiding any suspicion to make my childhood dream come true. And if all this seems like overkill, let's just say I have a bit of history getting kicked out of amusement parks in the name of science.
All of you, man. Why are you doing this to me?
For step 1, I took an oversized jacket and made a little pocket inside.
This is an unrelated thing. Do we care about this, or just add for another video, or
where I could hide my secret tech inside it. It's like the slight limp shuffle walk that really sells it, I think. Because they make you walk through metal detectors, I disguised and temporarily placed my device with a bunch of gear in my camera bag, and just had to hope it wouldn't get discovered.
We'll just wait till your light is fully screened in case of item that's
and even though this moment of truth was terrifying,
just
I knew I
demonstrating
just needed
later.
to play it
Oh, okay.
cool.
Wait, hello?
We've already watched this video, or most of it, so.
Well, chat requested. What's up? What do you want?
Well, I'm sorry that they have goldfish memory, man. We watched most of this, and people are saying in the chat that this guy faked it anyway, so who knows?
Oh, I don't think he did. I think some people were accusing him of it. Elon butthurt fanboys were, but apparently that was not true. He didn't fake it. You're just a Tesla fanboy.
No. No. Can I talk to you now or no?
You can always talk to me.
Oh, okay. So, I wanted to talk to you about how you... Well, first off, I wanted to just ask you a couple of questions. This is all going to be about trades work.
Okay.
So, a little bit about me. I'm an electrician. I've been an electrician for almost 14 years. Just wanted to kind of get your vibe on what do you believe are like the general requirements to become like an electrician?
The general requirement?
Sorry. The whole point of what I'm trying to do is challenge you on what I think you know about generalized education and like how to become a tradesman and all that kind of stuff. And so when you argue about it or you say things, it to me comes off as that you don't know.
Sure. Also, wait, real quick. Is there, I don't know why, but something is happening where like your mic is just getting muted every time you, like, I don't know why is there like an auto volume adjuster or something? Or does Discord do that automatically? Or is that something?
Let me check.
I don't know if it's the crisp.
Is this any better?
I have no idea. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
So my general question was like, and we'll just talk from like the electrical standpoint. So what do you think it takes to become an electrician?
The more formal thing that I've heard, I don't know if everyone has to do this, but there are like 2-year like apprenticeships or like journeyman things or something you do to, and then I guess every state licensed differently. But in general, there's like some basically 2-year apprenticeship or journey thing that you go on that's like a kind of trade school, and then you get licensed after that, and then you can go and work at that, or you might have to go longer for more specialized things in the field. But
so what do you so if that's so you just kind of melded two things together. When you say trade school, what do you think trade school is like in general?
I would have no idea. 2 years of like a community college-esque thing where you are more focused on trades than I guess like getting an associate's in whatever the trade you want to go into is, something like that, maybe?
Yeah, so that was kind of what I got super upset the other day, I'll be honest.
Okay.
You were watching an Asman video, and so I kind of just wrote some quotes down.
Okay.
So Asman said, the reason why this happens is people who work in trades are sick of being talked down to by somebody in accounting who makes half their salary, who thinks they're smarter than them because they went to school. And so this is where I wanted to talk to you is after you said this part. And I did get triggered, and you say that in here. So
Okay.
I did get triggered.
Gotcha.
He said, almost everything he said is incorrect. So chances are, if you run the numbers, people on average who go to school are smarter than people who don't go to school. I'm sorry if that hurts you too much. It did. I just think it's funny that the same community that would play race realist tropes about other races of people won't accept the fact that if somebody graduated college, they're probably on average smarter. I mean that in the most absolute brutalist sense of the word. IQ, G, whatever. The guy in the accounting firm is making 2 times the salary of the trade worker. So you go on to say that you basically talk about how, like, because you started to talk about college debt, and you said that most people, even in trades, get debt through trade school. And so when you say that, what is it that you're trying to, like, evoke? Like, what in your mind is making you think that there's debt related to trade school? Like, what?
Well, I think, don't you have to pay to have to go to trade school, or pay for the apprenticeships sometimes? I guess I don't know how those work out exactly.
So in general, your first thing that you said is what happens. So most trades are on the job apprenticeships, working in the field, learning things in the field, accumulating a certain number of hours to then do like a state regulated exam, basically, that is done through your licensing of however your labor and industries works.
Okay.
Trade school in general is a way to get some of those hours in a way that you pay for it. So you would pay, like you were saying, with like a community college-esque thing. It's more of like a technical program. And what they will do is they'll say like, oh, well, 2,000 of your 4,000 hours. So like where I live, 4,000 hours is what you need to get a specialty electrical license, and then 8,000 hours is what you need to get a general electrical license. So what that means is that to do certain parts of electrical, you need 4,000 hours, and you can only do those parts of electrical, like residential, low voltage. There's like people that just work on like pumps for like sewers and septics. Like there's very specialized things. And then general is basically you can work on anything. There's certifications you can get, but in general, a general electrician will be able to do almost anything. But in that, we have, and this is what trade school is to anybody that's worked in the trades. Most people that go to trade school for like 2,000 hours or whatever generally are not looked at fondly. Trade schools are like looked at in the trades are looked down upon. You don't learn. It's like if you were to try to learn coding.
It's like getting a cert or doing a boot camp or something.
No, it's worse. It's like if you were trying to learn something without ever touching what it is that you're doing in a real sense. So like if you were to be like learning coding out of a book that came with like a disc that has like, oh, and like, you know, like old typing programs that you would just like follow along and type with them. And like, that's what your coding CD would be, is like, oh yeah, you know, type out this code and that's what, and that will do this. And you're basically just like following along. That's what it is. And like most trade schools, or that's what it's seen as, is because people don't see like practical application. They have like,
are there really in trade schools, do people really not ever?
No. So that's what it is it's like a very controlled setting. So what you'll have is you'll have them have like different rooms and things like labs, basically. And it'll be like very standardized things, like standard framing members that you will learn how to drill through and run cables through and all those kind of things. And like, it's a very controlled setting to where, yes, you do learn things, but it's like to the equivalent of like what you would learn in shop class. Like anybody that goes to shop class knows a little bit about woodworking, but they generally don't know much because shop class only teaches you so much because it's such a controlled setting.
Sure, but you're describing education broadly, right?
I mean, yes, but that's where I think when you're talking about trade schools and when you're talking about trades in general, I think you're trying to compare it to education when it's in general not that way.
Well, but I'm just from what you described, that sounds to me exactly like all education. Like somebody would look at like a software developer and they'd be like, oh, what have you worked on? It's like, well, I got my comp sci degree. And it's like, okay, so you learned this, but you haven't had like a job before in it. You don't have a portfolio. You don't have a repo that you've contributed a ton of work to. You don't have any projects you can show, right? That sounds like all education, right? It's some balance of hopefully you get some kind of experience, which is why I imagine most trade schools hopefully would have you also working in the last year or volunteering or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, but what I'm trying to tell you is that the vast majority of tradespeople don't go to trade school, and I feel like often when you're talking and you're comparing things between like people that don't go to college, people that go into trades or trade schools, and then you have college educated people, generally you try to compare trade school to as like a regular thing that people will do in the trades, and it's not.
Sure, that might be the case, but generally, if I'm coming at it from that comparison, usually it's because the people that I'm arguing against are saying go to trade school instead of college. So that I'm usually drawing, that's where I'm making the comparison from, right?
Correct. So my thing is to just kind of try to tell you what like the actual application of stuff is, so that when you go into these arguments, you can tell them like, well, generally people don't go to trade school. I know that's like seems like not a big deal, but like I recommend you to people that I work with, right? That to listen to. And so whenever I've talked to somebody who's listens to you that's in the trades, it feels like in general you are very disconnected from it, which is understandable. You're not a tradesperson. You probably don't associate with a lot of tradespeople. But as a broader issue, this is also something that like I feel like the Democrats in general also are like losing on.
Sure.
In a big way by not even understanding what it is that people are doing. Like, so, okay, that was that was kind of my I was trying to get kind of your general understanding of trades in general.
Okay. So most people that do trades don't go to trade school. That doesn't surprise me necessarily.
Most of the time it's apprenticeship programs, and then even some states like and this is where I'm just basing it all off of electrical. There's like I think like 6 or 7 states that you actually don't even need to do any apprenticeship, any licensing, anything. You can just go and become an electrician.
Really? Without even getting a license for it or anything?
Yeah, I think Arizona is one of them.
Okay.
Anyway, I did cursory research to like go out of what my state is. My state is one of the higher paid states for trades. So, and we kind of set the standards with a lot of stuff in our area of the country. But in general, what I'm trying to get at is that I think that a lot of people aren't educated in this area, and so when they talk about it, it turns off people that are in my position, or makes them upset because somebody is talking kind of on their behalf and not understanding what it is that they're actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So, like, I'm not trying to defend Asmongold here, but when he said that the reason that people who work in the trades are sick of being talked down to, that is one of the things that people often talk about. And so that was something that I wanted to talk to you about, is just your general approach to how you talk about trades and how you, to a tradesperson, don't sound like somebody that knows what it is. So
I mean, I'm not gonna like if I was talking like to a consortium of tradespeople, I would probably phrase things a little bit differently. But also, I mean, it's always gonna sound bad if I'm talking to people who are saying, "Don't waste time with college. Don't go to college. Do the trades instead." Like I'm always gonna be pushing on the other end of that. I don't know. I don't know if there's ever a way to.
But do you feel like that's a necessary thing that, okay, so obviously the people that say like, don't go to college whatsoever, most people that say that actually don't mean that. Like when you push them, you'll say like, well, what about doctors? And they'll be like, well, obviously doctors need to go to school. And then you say, you know, and you can kind of go down a list.
Yeah, but now you're running into the trap of saying that like, it's only the highest paying jobs that need to go to school. Like basically every single 4-year degree. Well, sure, but I'm just saying, like, in general, if a person has the capability to go to college and get a degree, they're, like, 90% of the time they're going to be better served doing that. But that's always going to come off sounding, I guess, mean to people that work in trades, because, I mean, it does, but it sounds mean, I guess. But, like, I mean, if I'm talking to somebody who's just pushing on the other side, I don't know how that wouldn't just sound, yeah, I guess it sounds bad. I don't know what to say.
Well, because you sound, but it sounds worse because you're completely oppositional and not giving. And I'm not saying that you need to like give people ground on that.
I mean, to be
situation,
fair,
but
I feel like if you listen to me do these things, I feel like I usually say, maybe every time now, I usually say, like, if you are able to go to trade school, or if you just don't like college or college sucks or whatever, then I think trade school is a fine option. It's better than just having high school. That's absolutely sure, or absolutely true.
Yeah.
Working in a trade is better than just, I mean, I'll grant that. But again, if I'm arguing against people who are just saying, like, don't waste your time with college, I think I'm always going to come off, like, really oppositionally there. I don't know if there's any way to overcome that.
Sure. I would just, I guess I would just say in general that having that oppositional tone, this is kind of a optics conversation, is not one that serves our side of the aisle well. So like, it's the same thing as like when the Democrats talk about unions, right? Like, they hammer unions home like every single speech that they ever do, everything that they try to talk about working class people, and oh well, the unions are the driver of the country and blah 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 blah. But like when you're talking about it in like the tradespeople, that's only like I think it's like under 15% of tradespeople are in unions. And I know you're not one of those people that talks about unions in general, but I'm just saying, like, in general, the conversation almost has nothing to do with what we see every single day. So when people,
it's like fighting for minimum wage. Like, this is not helping the 99% of Americans, because barely anybody makes minimum wage. There's usually other things that people would want.
Exactly.
Sure.
But at the same time, whenever it's talked about in a way that people in our industry do feel like we're being talked down on, because like, in general, and I've listened to you for a long time now, you don't generally speak well of trades. Like you will like maybe do like one or two sentences at the end where you do like I wrote one down. You said, I'm not trying to talk shit on any job. Even fast food restaurants can make more but on average, you were talking about accountants in this situation. You were saying, but on average, accountants make more, which is probably true when you're talking about across the entire United States. The averages, whatever it might be, I don't even know how they categorize that kind of stuff, whether it's apprentices or licensed people or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
But like me, for example, and people that work at the company that I work for a private company. After your 2 years, you're gonna make, and you pass your exam, automatically you make $87,000 a year. And so like when we talk about going to college and things like that, there's not a whole lot of college educated people that when they get out of college, they get a job that they're making that much money. And I'm not talking about with overtime either.
Sure,
That's
that might
like
be true, but like it just whatever program you're talking about is an exceptional program, and it's not going to be true for the average. So I mean, there are going to be some people that come right out of college and get hired by Google or Amazon and make 300, 400,000 in total compensation a year, right? But I mean, I wouldn't use that as the average, right?
Sure, but in general, like, is that even something that you thought would be a possible, like, I'm just trying to challenge you on what your general like ideas are around these kind of things. Like, is that something that you even thought was like a number that would come out?
Yeah, for sure. My uncle has been working as a plumber in New York City for like 20 years, and he makes an insane amount of money. Not as like a business owner, but just as a plumber. Yeah, it's possible. They were like, I think HVAC guys, I think maybe are like a group of people that can make a decent amount of money depending on where they work, or
yeah, plumbing, electrical, and HVAC are generally the highest paid in the industry. As far as like, if somebody's gonna like say like, oh well, actually this super specialty, like the welder that goes onto the steel, like welders make a whole lot of money, but they're mainly in commercial and industrial. They don't go across the entire spectrum of like all construction. But like in general, those are the top three. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I think you and just Democrats in general and people that you talk to don't understand that like all of the negative that is put on this is like eventually going to cause like a lot of issues in the trades. Like as far as like getting people interested in it. I mean, I'm only a couple years younger than you, but like when we were in school, there was a big push towards science. Like all of a sudden science classes and computer classes and all those kind of things, like that was like pushed super heavy. And I remember that people would always talk about that, well, we're not doing physical education anymore and all these kind of things. And it was like boomer talk back then. And it's like, well, yeah, we're obviously going to learn chemistry because anybody can go out and run on a track. And so there's not even a point to have people doing that because this is something that somebody needs to learn all the time.
Sure.
And so, and somebody in chat just said, come destroy your body for a quick buck. I don't know how to tell you this, but in general, like things are a lot safer than they used to be. There's a lot of ways that we do our work now that isn't hard to like on your body. There's obviously things that are super hard. But yeah, anyway. But what I'm trying to get at is that like we're seeing less and less people being interested in the trades and more people feeling like they need to go to college. And I know that this is something that people argue with you about is like not everybody needs to go to college. They might go into the extreme and say that nobody should.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you and Democrats in general need to push people to go into trade work. Like if you don't know what it is that you want to do, I guess this is just in general because I know that there's a lot of people that are young. If you don't know what you're going to do and you're about to like take a summer off or whatever, I mean, I don't know with the tariffs, like it might get kind of weird in our industry, but like you could go and take 2 years off after high school and go and get licensed. And the only thing that it requires to continue your license, at least in my state, is you have to take 48 hours of continuing education classes, and you can renew every single time, and you could always go back to it. So like, I just think that people should be pushing for this more. And I think that you, as somebody that has not a young audience, but there's definitely young people in the audience, and you talk to a lot of different people, should kind of also be pushing for that. Because
I mean, I feel like I've said this a ton of times. If you don't want to go to college and you graduated from high school, going into trades is a good alternative to that, to not doing anything, or not a good alternative, it's a preferable alternative. But it's just most of the videos I guess I watch are people who are just saying that if you go into the trades, you earn an ungodly amount of money, and college is a waste of time. So I think it generally comes off as me. I guess it's going to feel like I'm just shitting on the trades, but that's just generally where the conversations are, the videos, the types of videos I'm responding to. It's kind of like the Israel-Palestine thing.
Yeah, but that's just where, like, in general, I keep saying in general, I'm sorry. But I do think that more people should be interested in these things because, like I said, things have gotten much better. Like, the guy who comes home and is just, like, destroyed at the end of the day. Like, I'm tired, but it's mainly because I wake up at super early so I can get home super early.
Yeah, but I mean, I imagine, especially for trades, these problems will probably kind of sort themselves out a little bit in that eventually the money that's being offered for an electrician or any other like trades worker is going to start to go up so much that people will start to just naturally look at those options because there's just going to be so much more money there than going to school and getting a degree as well, right?
But I would argue that money is already there. So like at my...
Yeah, but if we go and look at the BLS, like it's not, right?
Maybe well, that's what I was going to say. So like for a general electrician, like at the company that I work for, like if you do the 4 years, it's like 97,500 or something.
Yeah, but like what state do you live in? Or do you not? You don't have to say, I guess.
Well, I don't say anymore.
Sure.
After
like if I were to look up whatever state it is, I'm sure if I were to go to the BLS and look at the average or median salary of an electrician, do you think it's going to be anywhere near whatever your particular company is offering?
No, and that's what I was saying. Like I'm not entirely sure how they calculate that. Like that's where I'm trying to tell you. Like I work for a company that like we make more than like the bottom of the barrel, but like I'm not working for some company that's like giving out extraordinary wages.
Okay. Like, I mean, it sounds pretty extraordinary.
If I were to get on it, if I were to get on Indeed right now, I would find comparable paying jobs like plentiful.
For $80,000 for $80,000 for an electrician?
Or, I'm sorry. After 4 years, I'm confusing my stuff with what after 4 years, our pay is 121,000 for those people. But
that sounds like an exceptionally high paying thing, though.
Well, I mean, it's $60 an hour.
Yeah.
It's not exceptional. Like unions in our area, which
for a 4-year degree,
like
making 100 and whatever, or for 4 years of training.
Yeah, and passing the exam.
Yeah, that sounds like an exceptionally high paying job. No.
No, like unions and prevailing wage and things that are in my area, you're making like $89 an hour.
Do you think this is close to the median of what that worker makes, even in your state?
The 60?
Yeah, or the 89?
Yes.
Oh fuck! How do I find the BLS chart for all the fucking jobs? Why is this?
That's right. I'm.
Hold on. I suck at this. I always forget this. Hold on. Or you don't have to hold on. Sorry, you can keep talking. I don't know why I said that.
Oh, well, I was just saying like that's what I'm saying. I don't know where the like those numbers come from, and what I do think it is that they categorize apprentices in with those numbers. So like you're gonna have the guy who's starting out making $21 an hour factored in with the guy that's above him that's making 60 plus an hour.
Well, yeah, but that's because like earnings over your lifetime will change as well, right? Like people later on in their career are going to make a lot more than people earlier on in their career. So like when I look up now I'm looking for the BLS. So it says that the annual wage for the median 50%. Okay, the median is going to be 107,000 for an electrician. That means that people are at the end of their career. Maybe making 100 and I don't know 30, 140, and people in the beginning of the career are probably making 50, 60. They might show like hiring. I think they do show hiring or starting wages for these as well. But I mean, like that just happens when you group everybody together, right? People in the beginning of their career are usually making less. People in the end of their career are usually making more because you make more as time goes on, right?
I mean, yeah, but that's where I'm saying that. And like I said, I do live in a state that is paid like I think we're in the top 10, if not the top 5, for like pay.
Mm-hmm.
And even those numbers, like the median is skewed like way lower than what I see in the field. Like
but that means that you're probably just working for people, or you're working in an area. Oh my god, I'm so fucking retarded. Forget what I just said. Also, this is electrical engineers. Electricians. My bad. Okay, sorry. The electrician one skews way lower. Is 61,590 for a median.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not trying to like challenge.
But even if I look at the top states, like the highest employment level, it looks like in California and New York, they're mean, so that's average. So I think those are going to be a little bit higher than the median. It's like 84,000 and 83,000, and I think that's over a lifetime. So it sounds like, or it's comparing like all age groups there. So it sounds like whatever area you're in, you have like a really good area or a really good job or a really good company that you work for.
And I know that that's what it sounds like, but that's what I'm telling you. Like in general, fuck, dude, I keep saying that and it's bothering the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
We are not an exceptionally paid company. Like exceptional pay would be like an additional $10 to $15 an hour where I live.
Sure.
And so,
but then I like where I would have to see this in the data somewhere. Otherwise, this is literally just you saying your company can be extrapolated to the entirety of the United States.
And that's where I was saying like, and I almost feel like I should do more research into how the data is going, because like I don't understand how that number is so low. Mm-hmm. Because I've worked for companies that pay significantly less than what I get now. And like there's one company in my area that's like known to pay shit. But they like work people super hard, and most of the time people learn a lot there, and so it's kind of like you go to that place and that's like your starting place and you get licensed there, and then you go and you work wherever you want to after that. But they just like, but anyway, I don't know. I just think in general, fuck me, dude. I'm gonna freak out. I don't know how it's calculated, but in my area, that's super low. Like that would be something that people would scoff at.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you're just in a really, really, really good area. Some dude just emailed me a thing where apparently he says this is he's an electrician's apprentice wage in a certain city with 30-ish companies. Don't show this on screen. This is proprietary. I am the son of a 150-ish employee electrical company in some place. And then something that's showing me the number of workers, total journeymen, and then wage of all journeymen. And it seems like the wages of all journeymen, the average is around like $27 to $28 an hour.
I would have to know where they live.
Sure.
Like the cost of living where, I mean, I've DM'd you where, I DM'd you where I live. So my state is like split down the middle as far as like on the east side of my state, things are way less. And then on the west side of my state, it's more. Mm-hmm. So that's where I think like the discrepancies come from, like when you look at my state's median. But I feel bad for the people that work for that company. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if that place is somewhere that has much lower standards as far as what journeymen make, or maybe the cost of living is much lower or whatever it is. But like that would be enough wage to where somebody should move to where I live, because the cost of living will not increase enough to where the wage isn't worth it.
Okay.
Like I can send you like my pay stub, but like I do pretty well, and I just think I just think that it should be talked about more, because people that are going to college, and people complain about this in your chat, so everybody that is talking about that I'm full of shit, people talk about in your chat all the time that they go and they get, a degree in computer science and they can't find a job over $65,000 a year starting.
Mm-hmm.
I know, and where we would look at the data and we would say, well, the data doesn't show that. Those same people are kind of on the opposite side of what I'm trying to tell you. So those people start at whatever that $65,000 a year is, with whatever the average is for student debt, and maybe they end up making in 10 years, maybe they go to 150,000, and obviously they'll be making more than what I'm telling you. And I'm not going to ever deny that people that get college degrees don't on average make more, but I do think that a lot of the data that comes around these things that you put yourself into doesn't necessarily reflect what can be when somebody is exceptional, I guess, or even a above average person. Because like people that get computer science degrees, I think you would agree, there's not somebody that's not exceptional that's not making a ton of money. Like you're not just going to be some shitter and be making $200,000 a year.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, the exceptional people will make more than the exceptional people in other industries, but then it also follows that the average people will make more than the averages in other industries as well, right?
Sure.
But we should do a better job, or encourage people to sort themselves out more based on like where their I guess interest or proclivities are. Like a guy that is a super shitty programmer but could be a really good carpenter or electrician or something is probably going to be better off in that industry. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'm only talking about people going into the main three. The other ones do suck.
Well, I mean, even so, I mean, it would still be better to be. It would still probably be better. It would still probably be better to be in one of those positions than to force yourself into school, which is not a good fit for you, right?
For sure. So that's where just I think that message is is something that is better than telling people, well, if you don't want to go to college, like, I don't know if you realize how you just phrased that, and that you said people should sort out those priorities and what it is that they're looking for. I think that's a lot different than suggesting that everybody go to school, and if you don't want to go to school, you should do this instead. The verbiage of it is different in how you're explaining what somebody should do, and it's with like a better understanding when you say that, of that it's not a bad thing to do what I do. And that's what I think a lot of people in politics don't understand, is that like people in my industry don't need to be looked at as the second choice.
Yeah, I understand. As in, it sounds almost like you should go to college, but if you're a retarded loser fuck, you can still do trade school, is what it sounds like the messaging is kind of, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Okay. I can keep that in mind in the future.
But I know this is all weird, but I do think that it's a significant problem that Democrats have, and that if you're going to start doing more political debates, who knows in the next couple of years what's going to happen as far as, you know, what the political scene is going to look like. I think that turning to people like me and talking about the value in what it is that we do is a like politically advantageous like message to have, because when Democrats talk about, you know, trade workers in general, we're always put up on the stage in a hard hat and, you know, a high vis vest, and we look like a fucking idiot. Nobody wants to wear that shit outside of work, and we just we're looked at as like pawns, I guess, in the political messaging, when we should be looked at as, you know, if you're talking about like Ezra Klein's, you know, new book or whatever, all the abundant stuff, like there's not enough people to do that. And so when we're consistently telling people that they need to try college first or try secondary education in whatever method it might be, even again, like trade school, that wouldn't be my first suggestion to anybody. Like if they were like, I don't want to go to college, it just doesn't seem like something I'd want to do, I would never tell them to go to trade school. And so like, and I don't know if that's something that you have ever thought of, because like I'll try to find
as opposed to what? Would you just tell them to just not do anything, or?
No, go into become an apprentice somewhere. If you want to go to a trade school for electrical, go and apply for.
Well, my guess is going to be, it's probably a lot easier to get into trade school than to do an apprenticeship. No.
To be honest with you, I mean, probably, in the sense that if you're going to pay somebody, they'll probably take you in.
Like, where would I go to be where would I go to be an apprentice if I wanted to apply for an apprenticeship?
You just, like, you would apply, you can walk into, like, almost any, like, in my state, you walk into any electrical company, put in an application, and you can get hired on, and you go onto the LNI website, and you get your apprentice card. Like, that's how easy it is. I think you pay $75 or something to get your apprentice card.
Do they pay you, right? Or do they, or?
As an apprentice?
Yeah, or no?
Yeah. So, like, my company, like, you start anywhere from, like, $19 to $21 an hour when you start.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's pretty low as far as, like, when people are thinking about, like, starting a job as an adult. Like, they don't think like, oh, I'm going to make $19 an hour. But like I said, that wage significantly increases after 2 years. And so it's just, you could go into debt. And like I said, with like trade schools and stuff, where people go to these things and they get half of their hours that are required for their license, they are spending money on it. And it's a significant amount of money relative to what it is that they're going to come out of it with, when they could just be making money as it goes. I don't know if like over my lifetime I'll make as much as the average college graduate makes, but like I would imagine I'm gonna be kind of close.
Okay.
But
all right. Well,
I don't know.
I'll keep it in mind.
I know it's kind of stupid, but that it just, I think that the reason that people cling to people like Asmongold is because he's not willing to even, and I know that's not what you're trying to do, but like he doesn't throw those people to the side. Asmongold's a fucking idiot on almost everything he talks about. But I think the fact that he exaggerates all the time when he talks about tradespeople as if we are making 400,000 a year or some crazy shit. But his messaging, and that's why people listen to him when it comes to those type of people. And those are the type of people that Democrats are hemorrhaging on over and over and over again in elections, because they don't look like they're cared about by the like kind of snobby Democratic Party that will tell people to go to college, and which they should if that is what they want to do. But we shouldn't be like off in the corner as like kind of like a novelty, like a token. Here's the token guy who swings a hammer or whatever that they do on stage, like I said, when they're all dressed up.
Okay, I'll keep it in mind for future conversations.
I know you probably won't, but I just needed to
well, no, I can. I know his message better on stuff, so I was going to keep in mind. Yeah.
Well, the main thing that it was the trade school thing. I think that people that recommend, I couldn't find any state that requires trade school. Most states that I looked at, that like I looked at least the top 10 of states that pay well in my field, especially. None of them require trade schools. It's all apprenticeships, and then like we're required to do now apprentices are required to do like 120 hours of continuing education a year, and so it's like 2 hours a week or like 2.5 hours a week or whatever, and that's all they have to do. And basically they teach us the code book and things like that in those, which is good, because like when I was coming up as an apprentice, they didn't teach us that stuff, and you basically had to learn the code by reading, what is it, like the equivalent of a dictionary. But it's not like trade school in the sense that I think you're evoking when you say trade school. So
okay,
I don't think that you should suggest people do that. I think that's a wrong thing to suggest to people, even if they don't want to go to college. I think trying to apply to be an apprentice is the way better pathway, and anybody can challenge me on that. If you guys don't know, you can post it on the subreddit and I will respond, and you can tag me. I will fight to the death that trade schools are actually like a shitty thing.
Gotcha. All right, I'll keep it in mind. Thank you for the information. All right.
Okay. All right, buddy.
Have fun. Be careful.